So here's our next major way to manage ourselves is we want to focus on those strengths, but now we want to shore up the weaknesses. I'm going to say this to you, that the vast majority of people spend most of their time thinking about their weaknesses. We want to flip it to focus on your strengths. You need to shore up your weaknesses. We all got them. But you need to focus on your strengths. You need to leverage your strengths. You need to get further, deeper into your strengths. You match your strengths and your talent with skills and how-tos and habits. Talented people can become great and operate at great levels if they'll work on their talents. Now, Pavarotti used to be a goalkeeper back in the day, believe it or not. Pavarotti was a little on the heavy side. Would you agree? So let's say Pavarotti says, I need to get good at sprinting. I'm weak there, I'm heavy, I'm not fast. So what I'm going to do is dedicate myself to trying to beat Carl Lewis. Now just picture that image for a second. You would never have heard of Luciano Pavarotti if he spent all his time. Here's the thing, if he spent all his time and focus with all that power and all that strength, here's what he would have gotten thinner, he would have got it fitter, he would have got it faster. And he'd have gotten so fast, he'd have been slow. Are you guys hearing me? Never would have heard of him. I'm going to say to you, as a guy who's presented and trained over 3 million people in 37 countries, that I have seen light switches go on when people simply made the choice to focus on their strengths, get better at their gifts, shore up their weaknesses, and go to work. And go do what they're good at. Go do what they're good at. So we want to shore up those weaknesses. First thing you got to do is identify and acknowledge your weaknesses. It is a sign of strength to identify your weaknesses. Peter Drucker knows a few things about excellence. And he said this, he said, the idea that there are well-rounded people who only have strengths and no weaknesses is a prescription for mediocrity, if not for incompetence. Strong people always have strong weaknesses. Where there are peaks, there are valleys. Any of you in here strong? You strong people? Guess what? You got strong weaknesses. Should I talk to your significant people in your life? Can they make me a list? Sure. So the first thing we've got to do is identify the weaknesses. Then the next part is we delegate those things, but don't abdicate. Very important. How many of you would say, historically, you haven't been great with money? Could I see your hands? Okay. And look, it's almost everyone in the room. You know, and we learn by mistakes, right? It's like, how can I be out of money? I still have checks, right? I mean, that's kind of how you learn. And so what people will do is this. Okay, and they'll hear me say, okay, Brian's saying I just need to focus on my strengths. I'm not good with money. Never been. So what happens is people sometimes say, well, I'm not good with money. That's a hall pass. Or B, I'll delegate it completely. Now, here's the thing. That's a cop-out. This might not be your strength, but we know this. You have to have a working knowledge of money. You can't abdicate your business to your business coach at Buffini Company. Oh, I just need a better coach. You got a rock star of a coach. But you're the one who's supposed to do Popeyes. When you systemize things, you can delegate things. You can delegate them to an assistant. If you don't have an assistant, you can delegate them to part of your team. Who's your team? Your lender, your title, your escrow officer, your closing attorney. There's things that you can delegate around, okay? There's ways that you can leverage what you do and how you do it if you systemize it. Theodore Roosevelt, one of my favorite presidents, said this, the best leader is the one who has the sense enough to pick good people to do what needs to be done and the self-restraint to keep from meddling with them when they do it. That's the hard part. This is the guy that employs hundreds of people. That's the hard part, okay? And then the last part is just stay disciplined. You're shoring up your weakness, you got to stay disciplined. You make these commitments, you're going to delegate these activities, you got to allow people to make mistakes. Nobody can do it like me. That's probably a good thing. My mentor, Jim Rohn, said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. You have your goals, you want to accomplish, discipline's the key. Identify and acknowledge what the weaknesses are, delegate, don't abdicate, and then you got to stay disciplined.